Yeah, you probably should be too close to it. Cool. Just go.
Welcome to Top 10 Real Bigfoot Encounters Caught on Camera, where we dive into the most astonishing footage ever recorded of Bigfoot and Sasquatch. These aren't shaky, distant blurs. We've sifted through hours of footage to bring you the rawest, clearest, and most convincing clips ever captured in the wild. From silent giants lurking in the pines to sudden sightings that leave even skeptics stunned, each clip in this countdown will make you question what's out there. No small creatures, no blurry frauds, just the big ones that are caught on camera and caught in the act. Let's dive right into it.
Baffle Bigfoot is a YouTube channel famous for flipping the script on traditional Sasquatch hunting. With over 5 years of consistent 4K footage, it showcases what many consider to be Class A sightings, legit up-close Bigfoot encounters recorded in public spaces. The creator names the channel Baffle Bigfoot for a reason, because what he captures on camera doesn't match anything most viewers have been told about these elusive creatures.
I was only about 35 feet from my car when I noticed this huge structure with these leaner, but the thing about it is this place is...
Forget isolated swamp missions and cryptic forest trails. These sightings happen just steps away from traffic, near major roads and in plain daylight. And by now, he's already captured 10 different Bigfoots on video in Season 5 alone, an impressive run backed by footage that regularly stirs debate.
Downtown Jacksonville. Look up these coordinates and your mind will be blown. Bay Meadows Road and I-95 in Jacksonville, Florida, and I find hundreds of them.
One of the most baffling clips yet begins with a structure found just 8 miles from downtown Jacksonville, near Bay Meadows Road and I-95. The setup doesn't look like random storm damage. It's a huge configuration of learners, X's, Y's, and parallel logs, forming what looks like an entrance to an underground structure.
That are exactly parallel to the 70-degree leaner with a Y on the top and all kinds of X's and Y's, and around the whole edge of it.
At the base is a clear Y formation on a 70-degree leaner, framed by hexagon-like outlines and surrounded by energy signatures, little lights appearing around the area, hinting at something more. A moment later, the camera captures what looks like a little nest tucked into the roots, possibly a hiding place or lookout point.
Little blue backpack or something right there, and there's gonna see how many signs that I see right.
There's even what looks like a blue backpack lying abandoned, as if someone or something was recently there. Several more trident-shaped Ys, pointed in different directions, line the outer edge of the structure. The area feels marked. As the narrator climbs up into the thick of it, he reveals even more unusual patterns: X's, Y's, interlocked logs, and tridents built with deliberate angles.
This place is just beaten down, and there'd be like little nests and sites.
What first looks like random deadfall begins to look more and more like intelligent placement. Just listen to the silence around the clearing. It's like entering a forgotten place of power. Look for the clues yourself.
So the bottom of the roots come up, and there are a lot of animals dig caves under there.
As the investigator moves through the tangle of roots and logs, the vibe shifts. There's a squareness to some of the fallen structures, almost as if they were arranged to form walls. Everything is unusually cleared out, as if something, or someone, had made space to occupy it. These aren't just trees dropped by storms. They're aligned, shaped, and pointing to entrances, almost like sentries guarding a pathway. The open space inside contrasts sharply with the thick brush just outside, forming a natural perimeter that hides what's going on within.
It's just a lot of fallen down trees. That's what it looked like underneath there. Those, and all around here, edge of this tree.
Step through the barrier yourself. Further exploration reveals more signs that the place is in active use. Around one central tree, the ground is worn smooth, and tracks lead into a shaded enclosure beneath another large leaner. The camera pans slowly, capturing a sequence of strange visuals: tridents, parallel logs, tree arches, and signs of burrowing near a pond.
And that's why they like to stay in the shadows, but they still like to use the sun. And I've seen them so many times. And it's also around.
And then, tucked inside the roots and shadows, there's a flicker of movement, a glimpse of a face. It only lasts for a second, but it's unmistakable. Something is watching. As the scene shifts, it becomes clear this isn't a one-off hideout. It's part of a larger network. A pattern is emerging. These structures are always near water sources.
And it's also around a pond behind it. They always have a lake source. And in Florida, they build a lot of lakes.
Like the pond behind this site. In Florida, many business parks are built with man-made lakes or retention ponds. Bigfoots, according to this theory, may be using these ponds as entry points, digging through loose dirt and creating subterranean networks. The theory stretches further.
Lights around the Sasquatches, and it starts ducking its head and it goes into one of these caves. See, we have a lot of fallen trees in Florida.
Some of these structures may serve as energy hubs, drawing in solar power and converting it into something unknown. It's speculative, sure, but the repeated lights, the structure symmetry, and the figure retreating underground raise more questions than answers. Witness it, unfold yourself. This isn't wilderness exploration. It's a confrontation with what hides in the cracks of civilization, behind highways, under roots, beside office parks.
So one of the things about Sasquatch and Bigfoot, I think that they use these structures a lot more for energy.
Baffle Bigfoot's footage keeps pushing the limits of what's considered possible. Whether it's showing a face peeking from the shadows or complex structures constructed from natural elements, each video dares viewers to rethink what they believe about Bigfoot. They're not just myths lurking in remote forests. They're right here, hiding in plain sight.
That I am a paranormal survivor, and I had encounters like that real before. So I walk in.
Sometimes the wilderness gives you more than you bargained for. On what should have been a peaceful 5-day overland trip to Ruby Falls in the Alberta Rockies, a grandfather and his grandkids stumbled upon something they may not be able to explain or understand. The video uploaded by Voyager Overland on YouTube feels like any other well-documented camping adventure. There's laughter, river crossings, breakfast in the cold, and thunder rolling across the mountains.
So the criteria is always the same with the grandkids. They want to be near water or a creek, a river, something so they can play. And when I asked them where they wanted to go, they both said the same thing.
But under the surface of this wholesome family outing, something was hiding. And by the end of the video, what was caught on a trail cam at night raises far more questions than answers.
Gene and I are out on yet another adventure. And last time we were out, I caught some footage that, quite frankly, has me a little spooked. And I haven't quite decided if I want to show it yet.
The narrator opens up about his internal debate about whether he should even share what he caught on camera. He's not sure what he saw, but the footage creeped him out enough that he's hesitant to show it. It wasn't just another deer or distant hiker. This was something else, and though he doesn't jump to conclusions, his voice carries unease. If you're watching the video, it means he ultimately decided that what was caught deserves to be seen.
So if you're seeing this video, that means I decided to show it. And I decided to tell the story as it is, and included the footage that I saw.
The days pass with the family enjoying the outdoors, jeep trails, creek walks, and stunning mountain views. The kids seem to be enjoying themselves, unaware of what's been lurking near their campsite during the night.
For a while now, I've been putting out a trail cam at night, hoping to catch some wildlife around camp while we're sleeping, and with my granddaughter who just loves wildlife.
Soon, the environment shifts as the narrator reveals that he placed a trail camera near the jeeps before going to bed. He's done this before in hopes of catching some wildlife for his granddaughter who adores animals.
I've put out the camera many times and never captured any footage. But tonight was different.
But this time, the camera did capture something. The clip doesn't go into a detailed description of the footage, maybe done intentionally, but the narrator's tone grows more cautious. He expresses genuine concern and says the experience has shocked him enough to consider whether he ever wants to take his family camping again. It's not what was heard, but what was seen, and though he does not share the frame-by-frame breakdown, it's enough to stir your imagination.
This morning it almost feels like somebody doesn't want us to camp here anymore. The weather is sucked in and not going anywhere. It's been raining for hours here.
The final morning is filled with strange symbolism. The family wakes up to find their camp submerged in water, as if the earth itself wants them gone. The narrator believes that it seems like someone is going to great lengths to get them out of there.
So we actually didn't fold up the tents or anything, just moved the Jeeps with the kids still in the tent so that at least we're on grass, we're not in muddy ground.
They decide to pack up early and leave the mountains behind. No dramatic music, no jump scares, just real footage, real voices, and real fear. The kind that creeps up slowly and stays with you long after the screen fades to black. What did they capture in the Alberta Rockies? You decide. In this fascinating encounter, in the vast, untamed wilderness of Montana, where towering pines stretch toward storm-filled skies and the land seems untouched by time, there's one YouTube channel that's been peeling back the layers of the unknown, World Bigfoot Central. Hosted by Sasquatch investigator Duke Sullivan, this channel doesn't deal in stories, it deals in evidence. But here's the real question. What happens when you return to a location already known for colossal footprints and eerie signs, only to discover even more intense activity? That's exactly what this second expedition to the mysterious Montana Ridge was all about. Duke and his team weren't just out for a hike. They were walking into what some believe is the stomping ground of the mountain giants, a term used to describe impossibly large cryptids reported in isolated regions. These aren't your average Bigfoot tracks. There's something far heavier, far more unsettling. Watch for yourself.
You left a nice crater in the ground too. So what was that you were just saying, Johnny?
I just, it's 15 from the...
Yeah, no, before that.
It's easy to track.
They descend into the gully, scanning the soil and tree line. That's when a fresh track is found. An enormous, defined print that sinks deep into the ground.
You guys can see that, I'm sure. Nice crater. Here's a crater. Again, about the same size.
It's not a casual step. It's a weight-bearing impact. A footprint that speaks of a being moving slowly, deliberately, and with purpose. No drag marks, no signs of hoaxing, just sheer mass pressing down into Earth. The camera holds on the impression. The scale is surreal. Watch for yourself.
Different angle.
What's striking isn't just the size of the footprint, it's the surrounding damage. A nearby log, half rotted but heavy, has been lifted and flipped, moss torn off. A small tree snapped halfway up its trunk. Something powerful walked through here, and it wasn't concerned with stealth. The team marks the spot, and Duke points out the distance between strides. It's not consistent with a hoaxer using fake feet. It's nearly impossible for a human to recreate without mechanical help. The spacing alone tells the story. You start to feel it. This isn't just a wilderness, it's a domain.
You're gonna walk down to the end of the ridge and back again, see if you can find any more tracks. The big ones cross down there sometimes, so.
Back on the ridge, the group decides to scan for new signs further up, and that's when the woods go quiet. That all too familiar silence in Sasquatch investigations. The absence of birdsong, the stillness of wind, a quiet that doesn't calm. It tightens the chest. From above the tree line, a faint knock, not a branch falling, a clean, hollow strike, and then another. Something's signaling, but it's not human. The knock pattern doesn't repeat. It's not rhythmic. It's communicating.
There's the brush shelter. Figured as long as I was here, it'd make a nice little backdrop and we can...
Then a distant shuffle is heard in the brush just ahead. Not a sprint, just pacing, watching. Whatever's there isn't fleeing, it's flanking. Watch for yourself.
Going across the hillside on my way back down. We have another one here.
One team member spins the camera toward the sound, catching the barest movement. A silhouette parting the trees for just a second. A dark mass blends with the timber. No fur details, no eye shine, Just scale, height, bulk, and then it's gone. They don't chase. They hold position, respecting the line. This isn't about confrontation. It's about coexistence. That's what sets Duke's investigations apart. No dramatics, no overreach. Just honest fieldwork, boots in the mud, documenting what most people choose to ignore.
I ran a majority of time, covered an area about 65 miles north into the foothills of Arkansas's Ouachita Mountains. With the exception of a few mom-and-pop businesses, everything was rural routes and back roads.
Later in the video, Duke recounts the origin of one of his longtime collaborators, known for tracking the Fook monster in Arkansas. The connection between that southern cryptid case and the Montana Ridge might seem far-fetched, until you realize both share the same patterns: massive prints, deep woods intimidation, tree structures, and non-aggressive observation. As if these beings are simply monitoring us as much as we're trying to find them. In both places, the deeper message seems the same. You are not alone out here. So the question remains, what are these mountain giants? Ancient primates surviving off the grid? Interdimensional entities as some theories suggest? Or simply a side of nature we've refused to accept? World Bigfoot Central doesn't claim to have all the answers, but it's giving us the pieces. You just have to look. If you've ever felt watched while hiking remote trails, maybe you were. Watch for yourself.
This looks like the kids. Local kids, maybe. Holy bleep, did they put a lot of work into this.
So what do you think? Is there a species walking the shadows of Montana, hiding in plain sight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had a moment in the woods that made you question what else might be out there? Some birthdays are for cake and candles. Others, they're for Bigfoot sightings. This footage, shot on a GoPro 8, marks the return of an Oregon couple to a familiar stretch of wilderness in Lolo Pass near Mount Hood. 1 year prior, they had one of the most intense Bigfoot sightings of their lives, as they saw a 9-foot silhouette standing silently in a meadow clearing. On July 17, 2020, they came back for the first time for a birthday celebration and to see if they would catch a glimpse of the creature again or not. What they found was proof that the mountain had more to offer.
Okay, I'm seeing what looks like a head and shoulders.
A distinct knock comes from the direction of the meadow, which was the same spot where, 1 year ago, they saw the towering figure. The sound comes from the north side of the clearing. The camera pans slowly, capturing a dense forest ahead. The trees stand still, but the air feels charged. In this zoomed-in clip, deep in the trees, the uploader points out a figure, a tall, black shape that seems to show a shoulder and an arm. He says the camera isn't doing it justice, as it is actually darker and taller than it appears in the film. Skeptics might call it his perception of creating figures out of the dark, but to him, it's real.
See this big tree right here? And then there's a tree about 50 feet back right there. Look straight between them.
Okay.
And there's something black standing there.
To test it, he places a branch upright in the mud nearby, so just in case he returns and finds it disturbed.
So when we come back, I'll see if it's still there, but...
This isn't his first encounter, and judging by his nerves, the memory of last year hasn't faded. The 2019 sighting had left him frozen in place for nearly 10 minutes, unable to react. Our adventurers are seen stopping by a creek, calm, beautiful, the kind of place that should bring peace. But it holds a darker memory. This is where they found tracks last year. The water runs over smooth stones and the only sound is the creel. It's hard to imagine something giant moving through here. He returns to the same viewing spot from earlier, and the figure is still there according to him, just watching with the same stance. Same position. Same creepy presence. It hasn't fled. It hasn't approached. It's just there. The sighting was later reported to Cliff Barackman at the North American Bigfoot Center. Within days, Cliff hiked out to the same trail, found the prints, photographed them, and even made plaster casts. Whatever stood there had left behind proof. And this was just day one. The next day, July 18th, would escalate into something far more aggressive, as there would be thrown rocks and the sound of something huge breaking trees.
I could hear rocks cutting through the trees, and they were landing close to me.
What if something's been living just beyond the tree line, watching us, but never making itself fully known? On the quiet edges of New York's Long Island, one man is asking that very question every day. Mike Colantonio, founder of the Long Island Bigfoot YouTube channel, is not your average Sasquatch hunter. He's a military veteran turned boots-on-the-ground researcher with a unique approach.
The most notable was they were just walking the trails.
He doesn't chase monsters. He builds trust. Instead of casting doubt, Mike casts gifts. Fruit, pastries, and even candy are left behind in remote forested areas in hopes that something or someone will accept his offering. But today's investigation, this one's different. Mike isn't in the dense woods or a mountain pass. He's on private farmland because someone called him in. Something strange was happening on this property, and it had been happening for years.
There was a tree, or they thought was a tree, right? Like a big tree that was just...
Watch for yourself as Mike begins surveying the farm perimeter and captures a strange structure deep in the tree line. A twisted, bent arch that resembles what researchers call a break. A structure commonly associated with Sasquatch territory markers.
Most of what's going on is audible. Just hearing things that...
The landowner had told Mike something chilling. One night while working outside, they saw what they first thought was a tree, but it moved, slowly, like it had intent, like it was watching them.
Fox in here forever. They've had birds of prey in here forever.
Mike listens carefully, never jumping to conclusions, but he knows what they saw lines up with classic Sasquatch behavior: perfect stillness, camouflage, and deliberate observation. As he walks the property, Mike stops near a gifting site he's visited before. What he finds there makes him pause. An old bait pile, tampered with. Something had taken the fruit, but not in a way a raccoon would. No gnaw marks, just gone.
Look at this. This is very typical. Not 10 feet off trail.
He notices subtle changes in the ground cover, crushed grass, broken stems, and he marks these signs mentally. A trained eye like Mike's doesn't just look for footprints, he looks for patterns. Watch for yourself as Mike quietly scans the brush.
And Snowload doesn't take trees and bend them under other trees.
And catches sight of movement behind the trees. It's fast, barely noticeable, but unmistakable to those who know what to look for.
It's back there. Right in that area. The best part about this place is I always have it to myself.
Moments later, Mike addresses something odd about the forest's energy. He's not alone. There's a distinct, almost emotional pressure. If you've followed his channel, you know he talks about this often, what he calls the quiet presence.
That would be like the tree right there, right? That they described, but it was darker. They said it was like a...
Suddenly, he stops. There's a structure near the base of a tree. 3 large limbs woven together like a low tent, not naturally fallen, placed. Mike kneels, examines it. This isn't wind damage, it's intentional. The type of formation seen time and again in Bigfoot hotspots. He documents everything but touches nothing. Then comes the audio.
We've seen that with the dogmen too. if I can find that photo, I'll drop it in here.
Off camera, the dogs from the nearby farm begin to bark, but not at Mike. Their attention is somewhere else, deeper into the woods. And then, a thud. Watch for yourself as Mike captures a distant knock. One, then a second, like wood striking wood. It echoes just enough to seem deliberate, as if answering the dogs. This is one of the most commonly reported Sasquatch behaviors, tree knocking.
I remember I was standing in this general area, looking up that way, and there's a ridge that goes up and over, and there was a...
Later in the video, Mike references something unusual, the possibility of a dogman. It's a cryptid many researchers hesitate to even mention, but he doesn't mock the idea.
Big orb. Confused me for a minute, to be honest with you.
He reflects on the shape described by the landowner, a tall, upright figure with a more angular face. Could this land be home to more than one mystery? Mike doesn't try to convince the viewer. He lets the evidence breathe.
Actually, there's a game trail right there.
His voice is calm, observant, and always respectful toward the land, the people, and whatever else may be listening.
How many people talk about these things and try to communicate them, and then just because it's on the news.
As the sun lowers, Mike offers one last gift to the woods, an apple, and places it gently at the base of a tree. He thanks the forest. Then he leaves. There are no flashy endings here, just questions, a sense that something real happened.
They watched the video of that part. I give them the highlight reels of it. And,
but not loud enough for the world to hear it all at once. Watch for yourself as Mike exits the forest line and looks back one last time. He pauses, watching something only he can see. For those seeking real, respectful Sasquatch research grounded in experience and quiet observation, Long Island, Bigfoot offers something rare, a voice of calm in a field filled with noise.
There's stuff whistling over here. That might be a bird, but back that way there's something mimicking. So on this side there was like...
Could this farm be a meeting point between two worlds? What else might be roaming the edges of our known reality? Unseen, but not absent.
We're gonna have to come back here a few times because I forgot how good this spot is in the winter.
Deep in Florida's wild prairies and swamps, the terrain doesn't just tell a story. It holds secrets most of us will never see. This isn't just hiking through nature. This is calculated tracking. And for Mark Zaski, it's about understanding how something unknown is surviving right beside us. Out here, the dirt, the roots, even the way the grass folds over itself, it all matters. Subtle terrain changes lead to real clues. The team moves through zones where dry prairie shifts into swampy wetlands. These transition zones, that's where things get interesting. That's where footprints start showing up. Watch for yourself.
That's where you want to look for tracks. So literally, where do we find a track today already? In the sand. Yeah. So it's areas that will take a track. Yeah. You can find tracks.
One print, clear as day. About 15 inches long, left heel still visible in the sand. But it's faint, not deep. And that tells Mark something critical.
This is a 15.5 to 16 inch Bigfoot track. But it's very subtle because the ground is in a spongy...
This creature isn't putting all its weight down. It's navigating carefully, probably on 2 feet, and doing its best not to be noticed. The trail shows movement along the tree line, through open prairie and into the dense vegetation. You can't chase Bigfoot. You have to read the ground, the environment, and see how it's being used.
You can then, if you do a big enough area, slide under it like a blanket. And that's what the creatures are doing in these situations where you see them on the ground, you can't see their body.
In one spot, tall grass mats over itself like a natural blanket. Mark lifts the whole section like a lid. It's heavy, rooted, but under it is a smooth surface. Something had been sliding beneath it, crawling under the thick vegetation without disturbing the top layer. That's not natural. Something is using this as cover. Watch for yourself.
When he stepped there, it was probably a little deeper, but it's resettled like memory foam.
Okay, yeah.
That's where you get in some of these spots where you start seeing this grass.
Then it happens. A figure moves in the distance, just behind a cluster of palmettos. There's no sound, just a blur, tall and dark.
They're gonna make people seem like they're crazy.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to cover it up, but mark my words, this park will produce, on the outskirts, many incidents.
Mark doesn't flinch. He's seen it before, and the evidence tells him what most people still doubt. These creatures are here, and they know exactly how to remain unseen. He circles the area and finds more prints. One clearly belongs to a juvenile, maybe 11 inches, narrow heel, soft pressure. Another is 17 inches, heavier and turned at an angle.
I asked like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later.
Here's a hand.
Are you serious?
Yeah, look. Big, wide. Yeah, this is a big, wide.
They're traveling together, a group. This isn't a lone creature. It's a pattern. These impressions aren't random. They're moving between food sources and cover, avoiding open space when they can. Further down, the earth changes again, sandy and damp. Mark spots faint toe marks, barely pressed in, almost as if something walked across like a ghost. But the stride, the distance between prints, it tells him it was real. Nothing natural walks with a 5-foot stride out here. It's not a bear, it's not a human, and it's not in a rush. Mark knows these patterns well. He's documented it for years. The prints show varying depths, some deep, some light, indicating different sizes and weights. The larger ones avoid hard surfaces. They stick to soft earth, palmetto flats, creek beds, places where they can move silently and leave minimal trace. It's strategic, calculated. Watch for yourself.
All of their foot is right here. The toes, and this is that same small one. Okay. So we know that here's the big one. You can see the big toe.
When the team returns later, parts of the trail are freshly disturbed, grass matted differently. Some sticks moved, not enough to scream creature, but enough to say, something large came through here, and it watched us come and go. That presence is always just outside the camera's reach, but always felt. Watch for yourself. Mark isn't chasing stories. He's chasing patterns, footprints, habitat destruction, feeding behavior. These aren't guesses. They're documented changes in an ecosystem. Each step deeper into the swamp brings more evidence, but with it, more questions. How many are there? How close are they watching? And just how much do they know about us?
Sasquatch Omega has been tracking the unknown for years, but this time, things escalated. Their latest nighttime expedition turned into something far more intense. A long series of encounters that hinted at something intelligent, fast-moving, and incredibly close.
Something's moving back there about 30 yards.
Well, that's where we're going anyway, so.
This wasn't just another night in the field. It felt coordinated, like they were being watched from the shadows. It begins with faint vocalizations in the distance, low, guttural, and irregular.
Are those the neighbors coming out?
No, there's only that one house right here that they own.
Are the neighbors outside?
At first, it's hard to tell what they're hearing. Coyotes? Maybe. But then comes something different. A long, sharp howl that stops everyone cold. The camera catches their reaction as they scan the forest line, trying to pinpoint where it came from. That's when the rock throwing starts. A heavy object crashes near their camp, followed by rustling. Then another. They're not alone. Check this moment when the first vocalization is followed by a clear object impact in the brush.
Didn't grow here. Didn't grow here.
Oh, What? Don't move. You didn't fucking hear that?
It's okay, buddy.
The group spreads out. Flashlights sweep across the forest, and the FLIR camera comes out. Thermal hits show strange heat signatures. Too tall, too upright. One shape disappears behind a tree. They don't chase it. They know better. Instead, they mark the location and scan again. From another direction, a second vocal call. This one is deeper, shorter, almost like a bark. Then another crash. Something heavy is thrown again. It's too deliberate to ignore. They're surrounded, and whatever's out there is communicating, maybe even coordinating. Watch yourself as the fleur captures movement between trees and strange audio pulses escalate.
Dude, listen. Shh.
Yeah,
What is that?
I don't know, but there's something back there for sure.
They regroup and move toward where the vocalizations were strongest. And that's when they find the footprints, massive impressions in soft soil. Some fresh, some older. The team measures them, 16 inches long, spaced nearly 7 feet apart.
The entire thing, that's the 17-incher.
That is a big boy right there. Wow.
It stepped on the thing.
One print shows a clear toe splay, another has a noticeable mid-tarsal break. These aren't boot prints, and they're not from wildlife. They follow the tracks a short distance before something slams in the distance, a branch break or a body crashing through brush. It's close, maybe 40 yards away. Then comes the moment no one forgets. The team hears a single deep exhale, like a breath released from something massive and nearby. It's not caught on camera, but everyone reacts. The air shifts. The woods go silent. One investigator whispers, "It's here." They go still, scanning the blackness. For a few seconds, nothing. And then, a fast-moving shadow darts across the thermal screen. It's upright, hunched, and it disappears just as quickly as it came. Everyone is locked in, completely focused. The tension is sky high. Watch the chilling moment when the thermal captures movement at close range before vanishing.
No, or was it? Oh shit. No, it was not a fucking car.
The final minutes are eerily calm. No more crashes, no more knocks. Whatever it was, it's gone, or watching from further away. The team quietly packs up and retreats.
No one comes here. And so it's very strategic. We can go back inside if you want.
But something's changed. This night wasn't just random encounters. It felt like a test, like something came close on purpose, just far enough to be seen, heard, and understood. The evidence, footprints, vocalizations, thermal hits, is real, and the feeling, unshakable. One last time, feel the silence set in as the crew exits the area, leaving behind a place that won't be forgotten.
Steve, I guarantee you probably never would have come here, right? No one comes here.
The video uploaded by the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch channel documents an astonishing sighting of a Sasquatch on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana, recorded by a resident. The video begins with a recount of the incident from the perspective of the individual who witnessed the event.
I seen a Bigfoot about 2 years ago on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. Tried getting a video, but it wouldn't focus. But we did get a few pictures. It was end of August 2 years ago. I can't remember the date. It was towards the evening time.
2 years ago, in August 2021, the witness and his girlfriend were out cruising the beautiful Rocky Mountains, enjoying the enchanting view of the Blackfeet Reservation. It was late afternoon when the first signs of something unusual began to appear. His girlfriend had already spotted many grizzly bears on their journey, and as they drove closer to a canyon, they met some local men gathering firewood for the winter months.
My girlfriend were out in the Rocky Mountains here on the Blackfeet Reservation, just out cruising around enjoying the scenery. As we were going up, my girlfriend kept on spotting bears.
During their conversation with the locals, one of the men shared something strange. Creepy noises emerging from the bottom of the canyon. The noises, described as grunts and growls, didn't sound like anything the men had ever heard in the wild before. Despite the tight tension in the air, the witness laughed it off and continued their journey, oblivious that the real mystery was just around the corner.
As I got off the vehicle I was driving, I started visiting them, and the gentleman that was cutting the wood was telling me how his partner was afraid to move away from the truck because of the weird, eerie noises they were hearing.
As they came down the canyon, something caught the girlfriend's attention. She yelled, "It's walking like a man!" Her eyes were fixed on an unusual figure in the distance, which appeared to be walking upright. The witness immediately stopped the vehicle to see what she was seeing. The scene was chilling. A large figure, bipedal, just like a human, but unlike anything they had seen before.
To see what she was witnessing, and sure enough, it was. I gave her my cell phone to try and record a video and it wouldn't focus for us, so we started taking pics.
In an attempt to document the creature, the witness handed his girlfriend his cell phone, but the camera couldn't focus on the figure. They still managed to take several pictures. The images tell a powerful story, and the witness reflects on how the elders of the community had passed down tales of such creatures being spotted in the area. But until that moment, he had never believed it himself. The video from this sighting adds to the rich history of Sasquatch encounters in the area. While there's still no solid evidence to identify what was seen that day, the images and testimonies have continued to pique interest in the mysterious creatures said to roam the Blackfeet Reservation.
I have lived there and traveled that area over and over. I have never witnessed it until now.
The Peter Kane Dog Training YouTube channel has presented a bizarre and controversial claim, a Bigfoot that has been frozen for 65 years. According to Peter Kane, this is a young male Bigfoot, and its size and condition suggest it was placed in a freezer in September 1953 D.
My father acquired the Bigfoot September 23, 1953. And when they acquired them, they were so immense that they had no other choice. With most of them,
this discovery, if real, would be one of the most shocking pieces of evidence ever presented for the existence of Sasquatch. As Peter Kane examines the frozen creature,
now it's desiccated because it's been in a freezer for 65 years, give or take.
He describes its remarkable features. Despite being considered a young Bigfoot, it is still massive compared to a human.
Now this animal, if it was standing up, would be over 6 feet tall, but its feet are the size of like a human's if they were like size.
However, due to decades of being frozen, its body has become desiccated, a process in which the flesh shrinks as moisture is lost. This has made the creature appear mummified rather than fresh. One of the most unusual aspects of this specimen is its foot, or the lack of one. Kane explains that one foot was removed above the ankle and that the severed part is still preserved in a bag.
You can see the toenail there. See the foot. That's where the other foot was removed.
The remaining foot exhibits an intriguing characteristic. It is relatively small for the creature's body size. According to Kane, this could be an evolutionary trait of younger Bigfoots, allowing them to blend in more easily and appear more human-like.
We have many specimens to look at, but it's interesting because the feet are still relatively small, like a human's.
He claims that as Bigfoots mature, their bodies gain significant mass and their feet grow much larger. Based on his analysis, if this particular specimen were alive and standing upright, it would be over 6 feet tall.
Now this animal, if it was standing up, would be over 6 feet tall.
Yet its feet resemble those of a human wearing size 9 shoes. This revelation is puzzling as most reported Bigfoot tracks suggest enormous footprints far beyond human proportions. Could this be a case of a new subspecies, a different developmental stage, or something else entirely?
Of like an infant Sasquatch too. It's sort of like a normal looking foot, but it's still a very large creature.
Kane then moves to the back side of the creature where he examines the severed foot. After placing it near the stump of the missing limb, he notes that it fits perfectly, leaving no doubt that it originally belonged to this specimen. As he continues his examination, he focuses on the muscle structure, particularly the gluteus maximus. Despite being frozen for over 6 decades, the creature's muscular definition remains visible.
It's been frozen, it's all desiccated. You can see the gluteus maximus here is absolutely gorgeous.
Kane expresses amazement at how well preserved it is, calling it absolutely gorgeous. Moving to the face of the creature, one of the most unsettling features is its expression. Despite being frozen for decades, the Bigfoot appears to be grinning. Kane recalls a story from his father, who allegedly had direct involvement in the preservation of this Bigfoot. According to him, these creatures were terrified when they were captured, suggesting a possible struggle or defensive reaction.
My father acquired the Bigfoot September 23, 1953. And when they acquired them, they were so immense that they had no other choice with most of them.
Another fascinating aspect of this specimen is its facial hair. Unlike humans, both male and female Bigfoots are said to have thick beards and facial hair, and this specimen fits that description perfectly. The hair's density and texture further support Kane's claim that this is a unique species, distinct from humans and known primates.
The males and females both have facial hair like this. I can't say enough about this creature. They're so interesting.
Looking at the entire body, Kane concludes that this is not a human, not a hoax, but a real non-human species. He calls it a beautiful creature, reinforcing his belief that Bigfoot is not a myth, but a living, breathing entity that has remained hidden from mainstream science.
It's a beautiful creature, but it is non-human. These are non-human creatures.
But with such a bold and shocking claim, there are still more questions than answers. If this truly is a frozen Bigfoot, why has it remained hidden for so long? Who originally captured it? And could this specimen hold the DNA evidence needed to prove Bigfoot's existence once and for all? What do you think? Is this truly a 65-year-old frozen Bigfoot, or is there another explanation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Northwest Georgia cryptids return with a special guest. Chuck Schlabs, formerly of Chasing the Beast, and now part of Cryptid Safari. Chuck brings new, compelling evidence to the table. The question remains, what are they chasing? And will they ever truly uncover the beast? Chuck's reputation precedes him in the cryptid world. He's been part of many investigations, but it's his recent encounters in the woods that are sparking new interest. LJ, another seasoned investigator, shares a terrifying moment where they were nearly outsmarted by creatures in the woods. On a ridge deep in the woods, Chuck and Rick found themselves flanked by two cryptids. Unaware they were being watched, Rick decided to outmaneuver the creatures, moving quietly down the side of the hill. But what he didn't expect was the response. What followed was more than just a game of cat and mouse.
It was 3 years ago at Bonavia Conference. We've got another friend down.
Okay, Chuck, you're back with us, bud.
Yeah, for the time being, I'm having technical difficulties, I think.
Is your Wi-Fi on? Or do you have Wi-Fi?
Is he still there? You still there, Chuck?
I was within 10 feet of one of them, Rick recalls. As he crept closer, the brush rustled, and for a brief moment, he thought he was face to face with Chuck. But no, Chuck was still up on the hill. Then came the sound, loud, crashing through the brush like a bulldozer. A full-on retreat by the cryptid. We didn't expect that. It was accidental, but it was a breakthrough, says Rick. That moment marked a significant shift in their investigation. Could this be one of the creatures they've been tracking for months? As they processed the encounter, Chuck and Rick switched gears. They moved from the immediate tension of the woods to their investigation of photographs, images that might hold answers to their cryptid quest.
To explain this one. This one was caught in northwestern Oklahoma at a lake that we used to research. We really got to go into other areas and kind of just drew away from this one. He was just standing around, just taking random pictures. Once he got home and started analyzing the pictures and reviewing them, that's when he realized he caught something there.
One of the most compelling photos they review was taken just before a strange occurrence. Chuck had been out near his friend's house in Hornaby, where they sat around a fire. After Chuck let out a strange yell, something responded, loud and distinct. It wasn't long before Chuck realized the roar wasn't from him, but from something far bigger. As Chuck rushed back to the group, they saw it, a blur darting across the light of a nearby floodlight. A deer, startled and running, was being chased by something far larger. A photo captured the creature's heat signature, confirming it wasn't a deer, but a massive being lurking in the shadows. What was more astonishing was the distance, about 60 yards from where Chuck stood. The figure they captured was about 8 feet tall, racing across the property at high speed. The night was filled with mystery, and they knew they had encountered something they couldn't explain.
The story behind this pic. I had 3 people. I mean, I live in a town of, I'd say approximately 4,000 people, and there's a bunch of people that know what I do. And I had 3 people contact me and said that they were seeing monkeys on the creek. And
Chuck's cryptid search has led him to various locations. One in northwestern Oklahoma, where he captured images of what he believes to be a juvenile cryptid. The photos were taken in quick succession, revealing a face, then a hand covering the creature's face, followed by the figure retreating into the woods. "There's no doubt it was aware of me," Chuck says. These images were taken near the Cheyenne and Arapaho Reservation, land known for its eerie encounters. The creature in question wasn't alone. There were reports of large footprints in the area, adding weight to Chuck's discovery. In another case, Chuck was on the land between the lakes, an area notorious for cryptid sightings. Here he captured yet another disturbing image, this time a face hidden between trees. At the time, he hadn't seen it, but upon reviewing the photo later, the evidence was clear. Something was watching him.
Active area, all the prints the pictures of the prints that I sent you, that all came from the same area. The biggest track there was about a 23-inch track. And what was amazing about that picture, not this picture, but that area where the track was, the 23-inch track, is I was going to cast it, and I should have, but the track was too deformed because there were baby tracks inside. That's one of the baby tracks right there. There were baby tracks inside the big track, and it kind of deformed the track a little bit. But the big toe on that print was probably the size of 3 of my fingers put together. I mean, it was huge.
Well, my main thing is look how deep it is.
Yeah.
Like that, that's what really catches my attention. I mean, not only the definition of the toes, but the depth of the track. You can tell whatever made that was heavy.
Yeah.
What depth would you say this track was actually marred down into the ground?
I would say it was a good inch and a half.
As Chuck talks about his experiences, the line between what is and isn't possible begins to blur. The cryptid phenomenon isn't just folklore. It's an ongoing mystery with real encounters that continue to leave people questioning the unexplained. What's out there, and are we prepared to face it? What if the creatures we've all dismissed as myths are actually just hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to be noticed?
Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization is a YouTube channel famous for its serious, boots-on-the-ground efforts to document credible Bigfoot sightings in the state of Kentucky. As a non-kill research group, their mission isn't just to prove Bigfoot exists. They want to protect the creature and its habitat by pushing for real legislation. Their latest video takes place on March 29, 2025, during a field outing to Cave Run Lake in Rowan County. The team includes Charlie, Lindsay Raymond, and their close friends. This is more than just a casual hike.
So who noticed that first? Lindsay? Lindsay spotted this tree.
They're revisiting the very spot known for the famous Kentucky eyeshine incident, where 2 glowing orbs were once caught on camera in the woods. From the start, the energy is different. The group returns to the Poppin' Rock Boat Ramp, the exact area where the eyeshine had been captured. They're here to revisit the scene and test the environment for new activity.
We are at Poppin' Rock Boat Ramp on Cave Run Lake. This is where the Kentucky eyeshine was filmed.
Watch yourself as the team re-examines the eerie eyeshine location and prepares for what's next.
Hey, eyeballs. 2 eyeballs. Bam, straight over you.
From there, the hike leads them deeper into the woods where activity has previously been reported. That's when Lindsay spots something strange. A tree bent at an odd angle, held down by another large, older tree. It's not just bent, It's been dragged and pinned in a way that doesn't look natural.
You can see it starts here, goes up over, way over there, and the tree that's holding it down is significantly further away.
The team closely examines the positioning and the age difference between the trees. One looks freshly downed, while the other shows signs of age, wear, and permanence. The question arises, was this natural or was it constructed? At first glance, it seems like a natural fall, but when they investigate the root structure, the truth is revealed. The tree was not placed.
I take that back. It's not been picked up and placed there because it does go into the ground.
Okay.
It had roots going into the ground, confirming it had fallen naturally. Still, it's an impressive formation that could easily be mistaken for intentional Bigfoot behavior. It's one of those moments that makes people stop and think twice, reminding everyone how often nature and myth intertwine. Take a moment to study this scene yourself as they analyze the strange tree structure in detail. Just a short hike later, they discover a trackway, large impressions in the ground that suggest a bipedal figure passed through. At first, it's brushed off as possibly a horseshoe mark, but on closer inspection, there's no metal impression, no clean horseshoe shape. What they find instead are two enormous impressions, spaced approximately 6.5 feet apart. That's a stride not easily replicated by a human or even most animals.
So here's another one.
6.5 foot apart, 6 foot apart. Just loose walking.
This one's different.
The prints have slight toe-like shapes at the front, which adds to the mystery. As each print is measured, compared, and tracked, the group starts to piece together the direction and pace of whatever made them. It's moments like this that form the foundation of field evidence. Not blurry videos, but physical impressions that hint at something massive moving through the Kentucky backcountry. Don't miss the pacing of this segment. Observe the track discovery and analysis unfold.
So this is, looks like a track of some sort, and it almost looks like toes.
But then comes the highlight of the day. Lindsay initiates a standard field test, 3 loud tree knocks. The surrounding woods are quiet, still, and waiting. After the 3rd knock, a sharp, clear response echoes from the forest behind them. It's a single, clean knock. Everyone hears it, except one. That's common in field investigations, where directional sound plays tricks on the ears. The group confirms the knock came after the 3rd strike. And from the opposite side, it's not random, it's timed, it's responsive. They decide to head toward the direction of the knock, but not everyone goes. Some stay back to try the test again.
So we had a return tree knock on the first set of 3. They're gonna go up towards where the knock came from.
As the wind picks up and settles, another series of knocks follows. It's less direct this time, but the initial return knock is already enough to raise the stakes. Responses like this are rare, and the timing here feels intelligent. Don't blink. Watch yourself as the group captures the clearest moment of possible tree knock communication. It's like something reacts on instinct, then retreats once it realizes humans are near. The group knows this pattern well. It's the silence afterward that sticks with you. One moment the woods are responding, the next, they're empty again. And just like that, the outing comes to an end. But the moment of connection, no matter how brief, leaves a mark. Something was out there, it heard them, and it answered back.
The Rocky Mountain Sasquatch team doesn't work in a vacuum. They analyze encounters across the continent, including footage from other researchers like Les Stroud, aka Survivor Man. In one chilling case, a large humanoid figure appeared behind Stroud during a survival shoot. Stroud slipped on a cliff edge, and in the background, something massive moved through the trees. The team zoomed in 350%. The figure had a deep brow ridge, thick neck, and wide shoulders.
I hope you enjoyed a look at what may be a Montana Sasquatch in a secure hiding spot.
No crew member matched the bill. Stroud himself admitted, "I don't know what that was." Watch for yourself the breakdown of this footage. Bigfoot doesn't always vanish, they explain. Sometimes it stays in one region for weeks, possibly following salmon, foraging, or even tracking the humans who enter its space. That's why multiple sightings in a short span, like what happened near Devil's Mountain, should be taken seriously. The belief forming is that Bigfoot might be an apex nomadic creature, strategically traveling between high-elevation locations, following food, and avoiding humans by moving quietly at night or during storms. Like a bear, but smarter. Like a wolf, but more silent. Could this be how it remains hidden year after year? Watch for yourself how they connect Bigfoot's intelligence to its mobility. Rocky Mountain Sasquatch isn't offering fantasy. They're offering on-the-ground research backed by tracking, geography, and timing. When trackways show up exactly where their camp stood days earlier, and when salmon spawn lines up with sightings, you have to ask, is it still a myth? Or are we slowly closing in on the truth?
And several years ago, a couple of Bigfoot captured on camera.
Watch for yourself how close they might really be. What do you think? Could Bigfoot truly be roaming the peaks of the Rocky Mountains and the dark forests of the Pacific Northwest? Have you seen anything strange in the woods? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch for more investigations, boots-on-the-ground footage, and stories from the edge of wilderness, because the next clue could be just one ridge away. So, were these just misidentified animals? Or do these face-to-face encounters point to something much more real? The forests aren't empty, and hundreds of witnesses are starting to speak out. Have you ever heard something strange while camping? Or seen something you couldn't explain? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more true Bigfoot encounters caught deep in the wild.